This is the Cardinal Cowboy Show.
Giddy up! Woo! Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live inside the Cardinal Cowboy studio. Another exciting show here today. Mr. Gregory A. Upchurch is in the studio with me. Greg, how are you doing this week?
Straight in from the woods of Missouri, just enjoying Mother Nature and conservation.
I got you, man. So, it is that time of year when hunting is still a functional, full part of our economy. We'll get into the economy a little bit in just a few knocks on the door. Any good luck hunting? Anything you picked up that, did you get some take-home meat? What do you got there?
I did see a very nice buck today. It was anywhere from a 6 to 8 pointer. Couldn't get a really good, look, which means not a good shot. So instead of taking a pot shot at something and having a chance of it dying in the wilderness, of course you just let it go and live another day. And today was the last day of alternate methods, which is why I say pot shot. So pistols were allowed today, last day in Missouri. From now on, it is archery season.
Archery season. Okay, archery season means that bows and arrows, as they say, and bows and arrows, right?
Yes, bows and arrows.
And so you don't use the old conventional where you literally have a bow. It's one of these crossbow things that are like super powered, ready to take out from miles away, right?
Some people do, but some people, which is really quite interesting, alternate methods includes all kinds of different things, and one of them that you can use is an atlatl, which is a long stick with a spear that you basically throw, like the classic pictures you see of the cavemen, things like that. And there's other basically all these alternate methods that can be used. It's quite nice.
Okay, well, we'll talk about hunting, and we're gonna have a show dedicated to hunting, and we hope everybody kind of enjoys and joins in with that. Tonight's show, we're going to talk a little bit about the excitement going down in our neighbors. I've driven through and been a visitor of Georgia a number of times. I had a bit of a relationship down there for a little while. Thought maybe I'd be moving to Atlanta, Georgia, on a more permanent basis. That did not pan out. But
I have relatives who live there.
And so Georgia, what was it called? Sandy Springs, I think was the area I was staying in a fair amount of the time. But yeah, Sandy Springs, beautiful suburb. Georgia, Atlanta is very similar to Missouri or St. Louis from the perspective that it does kind of the loop that goes around the whole city, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And the difference is there's a lot more people and there's a lot more traffic.
Yes.
And so the traffic was kind of crazy down there. But a hotbed for the election that has just is currently happening, I guess. It's not over. We're going to talk about that a little bit in our show tomorrow night in particular. But tonight our focus is on this runoff, which has a large impact for our Senate because right now it's 50-48 with 2 seats available, still up in the air. And those two are these two that are being run off in Georgia. And if Democrats pull off both of them, then they will have evened the House or the Senate with 50-50. The deciding vote then would go to the vice president, and who we're going to find out that will be here possibly tomorrow night for certain. There's some people that say it's done. Some people say it's not done at all. And some people say it's the opposite of what they say is done. But we'll talk about that a little bit. That's tomorrow's show that we'll go over that a little bit too. So welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in here to the Cardinal Cowboy. This is the UMA show, Cowboy UMA show. We got the UMA, the most universal man alive. I liked
ugliest man in America, folks.
Ugliest man in America. And I don't know where. I think it was an oxymoron. They were essentially saying, "We're going to say you're ugly just because you're so good looking and you get all the girls." So we're going to call it the opposite. Call you the opposite of that. But this is UMA, and he is essentially world famous in our little section of the world. And Uma, welcome to the show. Welcome again to being a guest as a co-host. And tell us, what are you most excited about with the show? And then our focus on this Georgia runoff. Tell me what you think.
Oh, the show just in general. I just think it's going to be light, airy, something different than people have seen for a while. A couple people that seem to kind of get along a little while, but think differently out of the box. So why can't we bring our ways we think and the ways we view things together and have a lively discussion and let people chime in online live time, and we will read some of those as we go. and just move on from there and see how this whole thing pans out. Because so far we've done a couple of them, and people seem to be really appreciating the format and the content. So if we keep this up and people keep chiming in and we keep this whole thing rolling as we should, I don't see why this couldn't be a regular thing, and we'll see each other, I don't know, possibly daily. Who knows? I know there's going to be shows coming up in the next few days at least. So this one started out with I just happened to roll out of the woods, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to show up in the Hunter Orange and promote conservation, and I am all for the environment and all the things associated with animals, apparently, you know. So like I said, don't shoot them if you don't think you can bring it down, and go Mother Nature.
Well, there it is, ladies and gents. So when you start talking about Mother Nature and the hunt, we can talk a little bit about the hunt, if you will. But in our culture today, boy, it is a prime season, if nothing else, for our electoral. About every 4 years we do this thing, right? And so now I didn't. Somebody
sometimes every 2 years.
It is every 2 years.
Yeah,
There is at least representative, U.S. representatives runoff and our elections.
Houses and states and all kinds of.
And so there's something always every 2 years. In Missouri, actually, for the Senate, it's every 4 years. In the United States Senate, it's 6, but in Missouri State Senate, it's 4, and then 2 years as reps. But so there's every 2 years. You're right. There is definitely some elections.
Somebody's always
on the hot
Somebody's
seat.
always running for something.
Getting ready to potentially lose their seat or gain their seat.
Yes.
I support some of the local guys here. But as a matter of
We all do.
the excitement, I mean, I don't quite understand. Somebody needs to tell me a little bit more about what it is. Why is Georgia having this particular runoff? That's one thing I haven't really discussed with anyone. As a matter of why do they have a special dispensation? Now, does this go back to the Jeff Sessions, who came out of his seat to become the Attorney General, and then they backfilled that, and then they had a runoff? And how do we end up with a special election? Now they've got a runoff for both seats in the United States Senate from Georgia.
It is unprecedented.
And it is a unique situation, and it caused more excitement even for our election here. Greg, talk about that, the impact this is having on our United States national government situation.
This, as Carter alluded to earlier, or Cowboy, we can say, alluded to earlier, this is an interesting situation we've not come up with. The chances of what was a government leaning one way, all of a sudden leaning a completely different direction in a matter of a couple of months, it's phenomenal. The people of America have voted, and this is apparently the direction that they want to take. And now down in Georgia, where things get really interesting election-wise there as anywhere else, people are deciding they can make a difference throughout the country, and they're coming out in force and voting. And again, I'm a firm believer of if everyone votes, we have a better idea of what we want and how we want to be led. And I think we should all vote. So I applaud this. I think it's amazing. Everybody get out, voice their opinion, and this has profound implications. Georgia can change the course of America this evening.
Very true, and it's going to be a unique situation that has obviously led to quite a bit of excitement. This particular election alone, still they got the whole debate on, are the electorals final? We'll touch on that again. We're going to have a whole show dedicated to that tomorrow night. But right now, because we have 2 Senate seats still unclaimed from a Democrat or Republican perspective, and there is a difference of 2 seats, this could even the playing ground for the Senate. Democrats currently control the House and will continue to control the House. They lost about 12 seats, but they still have about 12-seat advantage, I think. Right. And if they end up with the president, the vice president, the Senate, and the House, the next 2 years are going to be exciting for the Democrats in this country. And I think it will make a definite impact. I mean, there was a lot of work. Our current President Trump, did partake to put in position judges and laws and a lot of specific mandates and all kinds of legislature, and he got part of that done a little bit. He had that advantage also, I believe, going in for his first 2 years.
Oh, absolutely.
And his last 2 years, things got evened up a little bit. The Democrats took the House, and so now we're in a situation where it could be flip-flopped, just like that. 4 years later, completely the opposite.
Yeah.
Everything Republican president, Republican House, Republican Senate. Now, whoop, everything over to the Democrats and such. Is that a good thing, Greg? Is that something
Well,
that's good
guess
for?
what? Here's
for
what
our-
happened. Because I talk about this, anybody that's heard me, and I'll say it again, 1/3 Democrat, 1/3 Republican, 1/3 Independents. The Independents have decided who they want to lead the government and how they want the government to run. That is what has just happened. It's just exactly what happened 4 years ago when they went for Trump, and now it's what's going on right now. The Independents are deciding what's going to happen, and the Independents have basically spoken in this country. We would rather head this direction right now, and that's what we're seeing.
Well, it made it for an exciting situation. It was a little more cut and dry, if you will, not long ago when they had, just a straight up election. Pretty much everybody by the end of the night. It went kind of late that night. I remember Pennsylvania was the state that they called in Trump's favor, and that was about it. And they said, okay, moving on to the next. And here we go in 4 years, 2 years, and 2 more years. But boy, this election has been crazy, and it has made this particular situation really exciting for this Georgia runoff. Let's talk a little bit about the current situation. We're on late enough tonight. We're Central Time. It's about 8:17 p.m. Central Standard Time. You're talking 9:17. The polls have been closed for a couple hours in Georgia, but
Yeah, we're up to pretty high percentages. Last I saw was 65% reporting, and it's about a 1%. Ooh, David Perdue just took the lead, it looks like. But Warnock is still leading Loeffler. So this is the first I've seen. David Perdue just took the lead by, it looks like, maybe not even a point, 3/4 of a point.
yeah, and it comes down to it's a similar draw from the perspective that it's county by county. You see big swings happen throughout the evening because certain counties will have reported, and then you get into the major metropolitan area. The largest city in Georgia, obviously, is Atlanta.
Go Atlanta.
And they could have a profound impact here because when that district reports, now we're going to have a big lump of votes from all sides, and then who wins that county, and those electoral those votes, and then can swing the election one way. So I know in St. Louis or in Missouri, a lot of times we are waiting to the last minute. The big reporters to wait until when Kansas City and St. Louis come in, the two major metropolitan areas in Missouri. You have Columbia a little smaller.
Oh, now Springfield has a lot of people. Springfield now votes a lot. We didn't used to. They're engaged.
And so as those come in, it's typical that the major metropolitan cities come in later than the rest of the state does. They're smaller areas and easier to calculate. Maybe they're better with math. I'm not sure what the issue is, but they can count faster. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at in the middle of this. And so it'll be exciting. As we were starting off the show, we were doing a little show prep, and Greg was looking at the numbers. We've got some up here on the screen. I'll put up as I turn it over to Greg here to talk about that a little bit. But the Democrats were leading in both, according to the latest polls. I think it was about 56% reporting.
Even up to 65.
And now we're up to 59, and now you're saying 65?
We're way above that. We're at we're at 67% reporting.
Give us an update there. Give us a little breakdown of what you see there, Greg, and I'm going to put it on the screen behind us too.
Well, like Cowboy said, the first thing I've watched this whole time is the Democrats have both been up by 1 point, basically they were up pretty big earlier, and then it came down to 1 point, and now David Perdue seems to have taken the lead in his race. So, this is going to be a back and forth, we think, and just like was said, these votes come in from different places. Atlanta's going to have obviously a lot more blue votes where the counties around in the north of Atlanta. And I was even there's a map that shows where they're expecting votes to still come in, and so it looks pretty even across. I mean, this is just going to be a tight race. We knew this going in. It was going to be tight. So this is exactly what we expected. This is one of the reasons we came on a little bit later. We just didn't want to start at the very beginning of this thing. So, this is going to be exciting throughout the night, watching how this pans out, because it has really profound implications for how our government will operate. It will either be able to progress forward, or in some instances just be stalled the entire administration. So it just basically depends on how you look at it. Do you want to move forward, or you just want to sit in the same place for 4 years? All right, yeah.
That could be how they kind of break this thing down. So behind us on the TV wall here, this is the Cardinal Cowboy. Greg, we built the wall. The wall is completed here in the Cardinal Cowboy studio. But you see RunOff versus Loeffler, and this is Ossoff versus Perdue, and giving live updates here. Now, this may be a little bit behind what you've got on your phone. This is the refresh. This is New York Times. I'm not particular if they lean left or right. I think they tend to lean a little left, but right now they're showing, it looks like a little plus, almost +2 range of estimates, and they're both saying 68% reporting, and a little less than a +1 Ossoff versus Perdue. So that was Warlock versus Loeffler. Close election on either side. Isn't it amazing? And when you get down to this, the difference is going to be 2,000 or 3,000 votes, 5,000 votes between these two.
Oh yeah. Some of
And
these
they
might
determine,
even be
and it's
one of these races might even be closer than that.
It's all or nothing when it comes down to it.
It is, and it just shows how close these things are. Getting people out to vote. It's the only way we know for sure what people want.
Let's talk a little bit about the impact of this from a governmental perspective. You did mention it just a second ago. When it comes down to it, as a matter of who's going to call the shots, when you've got an all, if you've got an all Republican or all Democrat House, Senate, and presidency, boy, I mean, then you're really into who can call the shots. So Greg made the mention that you want to really see some things get done. Yeah, things can get done when you've got all three executive branches in your favor that you control. So that's why we're so excited about this, because it does appear, according to the current electoral totals that are being refuted, many people know, tomorrow again is going to be a really big day for that. A big tribe of Trump supporters has gone to D.C. for that. The tribe, right? I played for the tribe for a little bit. That's where I won the batting title last when I last played for the tribe.
I was waiting for that adjective.
And so that is where you really get into. This is the impact that you're talking about. It's gonna influence things in a large way. Are we better off, Greg? Are we better off, Uma, having a split to where there's at least the House on one side, the Senate on the other, and then obviously the president would be one or the other and could call these shots? There still seems to be, they say a lot of times the best method for governance is stagnation. Things that they make it hard to make changes, make it difficult so that you can't just come in and whip things up and pull things your way. And executive orders, boy, it seems like executive orders have kind of become the method towards gaining power or implementing mandates. And how often is that going to happen? And then what power do they have now that is still regulated and controlled by the House, the Senate, and the President? Touch on that. Do you think that's going to be the means of where they're at here? What do you think is going to be best? Obviously, somebody who does favor the Democrats, are you leaning towards, you hope that everything goes the side of the Democrats?
Okay, here's what I would like. You get 4 years. We know that a lot of this houses flop over every 2 years. The same with the Senate seats. Some of them flip-flop here and there. We know things change over. So anyway, if you could give, I think the incoming president, it would be nice if they, not imperative, but nice if they could have both houses, both Congress and the House with them to implement their changes within the first couple of years of their presidency. Then maybe if, maybe the House and Senate are divided to slow things down a little bit at that point. I don't necessarily see that being a bad thing, because then there's a give and take, but it does give the new administration a chance to come in, implement the policies they really feel are imperative to the people who get them elected, which, on one side, we know what the issues are. So that's kind of the idea of getting this done in a timely manner, but making people work together in order to get things done, so that when they do work together, the bipartisan bills that come out are not really refutable by a whole lot of people, so they stick, and we get things actually done in this country. But I would like to see people have the ability to at least implement their agenda when they get elected President of the United States.
Okay, so that's kind of where it lays right now when you get down to a matter of how this is going to work. And it seems like, and it's worked fairly well. There is the contemplate. How does this play into, if you would, Uma, the business and political expert, how does this play into the longevity of a democracy? We're technically a representative republic, and now going on, 1776, we're close to 200, and I guess we're at 245, coming up on 246 years. What's the long-term impact of that? Does political favor creep into the system? Do you end up with people, once they've established themselves? Now, the United States we talk about has kind of emerged here since World War II as a predominant power on this little planet. And as far as we know, this is the only planet where there's life that can maintain at least put together a Senate and a House and some leadership. Do you end up with...
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Right? You end up with a position where here we now have people that are in power, and the parties have been very well divided. Democrat, Republican, since the initial Republican Party, when they a lot of look at the history, they sprung off from the Whigs. Civil War with Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican, and then since then it's been the Republican Party. Democrats spinning off there, and then also from the Whigs and the Feds. What did they call themselves? I forget the name, but it was Whigs. Federalists. That's right, the Federalists and the Whigs. And so here we are now, Democrat, Republican, essentially kind of representing the same thing. There's been a couple other offshoots, some other parties in there that did have power for a short period of time. But these two parties, and there's people that tell me that I've got friends in other countries, they say, you guys would be a lot better off if you had a third party.
5. I want 5.
5 parties. Greg has made this argument before also. And so if you had a third party that could really kind of tear it up, mix it up a little bit between the different voices that were there, because then you really get into who has the majority. Well, they got a majority with 35%, and the other two had the, what was that equal? If it was 40%, 30%, 30%. I do recall when I was about to graduate college and the teacher says, you didn't pass your history class as a freshman level. I had to take it before I graduated. You got a 40, a 30, and a 30. That's a 60. And I said, wait a minute. It was a 40 and a 30. Okay. I'm like, no, 40 and 30 is 70. I passed. He's like, oh, let's go change your grade. They don't just do it that easy these days in the political realm, right? They at least have a runoff. They have a survey of the votes. So the whole question is, are we in a situation now where there's too much political influence from the parties themselves? There's not enough diversity, and either side is getting influence from lobbyists, big corporations. How much trouble are we in from that perspective, Greg, and where do you think that's leading us in? Are we already lost?
Well, okay, so you're getting into some different argument, but that's one of the main arguments with this is term limits. Do you want term limits? Because then when you get rid of long-standing people who have been in office forever, where do you get your information? It all comes from lobbyists only. So that's one of the major issues. I used to be for term limits. Now I'm not so much. I think that expertise maybe needs to stay in the chambers of Congress, and so it's there.
Can things happen bad? Yes.
Can things...
Yeah, this is a topic that I'm not sure. Give me a little more here to go with it.
Well, I guess I'll cut right to it to say that what I'm effectively saying is there is too much control given to these two parties, if you will, in that now people play favor with the Republicans. They actually, when you talk to corporations a lot of times these days, they say, I donate to both parties because I want to have a say no matter who wins, right? And so you get big corporations, they will put cash towards either one. They donate to both, right, not one or the other. Has our political system essentially been bought and paid for by who has the most money? Are the big corporations taking over? I'll get into my argument about that. I first want to get your perspective on that. And is it the little guys now don't have a voice?
They can definitely swing a race one way or the other, or let's say even equalize a race that would have been out of control by funding. That seems to be the case. This is almost like a lob softball for me because I'm a campaign finance reform person. I want the money out of politics. I want this whole thing, treating corporations as individuals as far as being able to donate money, and that's when you really get the corporation to be able to say who they want because, well, now I donated this much, you will protect. People trying to poison the planet compared to will we have any kind of a government oversight to say, yes, we need clean drinking water to live. These are the kind of things for me that it's almost, they seem like no-brainers to me, but other people just can't,
again, I have a personal issue with a lot of these that he knows, and so that was an interesting sort of question you threw at me there, Cowboy.
Well, yeah, and that's where I say it ends up being a real matter of, is it inevitable? I guess that's what I'm saying. Is it inevitable that those who are in charge vote themselves more power, play themselves more of the resources by using the resources that are out there and saying, hey, you want your business to do well, throw some more money my way, and they can essentially build a wall around themselves to keep out any real competition. That's where I'm going with that. What are your perspective on
I
that?
do like our system of checks and balances, but I the one thing that does actually work really well about our two-party system is we have a giant number of independents. They are the equalizers. They're the ones that change and decide how things change all along the way. And yes, some of those independents lean a little more this way and some a little more that way, and some of them are specific issue voters, and when their issue is not up that general election, maybe there's another issue that really, and that's how our elections get swung. And because the Democrats are going to vote Democrat, the Republicans are going to vote Democrat, the Republicans are going to vote Republican, and then the independents are just going to vote however the independents feel the country should go. And I understand how there was that big Trump wave that came in, but now there's a big Trump wave going out. The undertow is pulling it back under people, and here we go. We're gonna go back and let that old big blue wave come right over the top. Let's see what happens. And this election is going to mean whether or not policies get implemented starting quickly and move forward to help people, including, I don't know, just even getting people a little bit more money in their pockets right now, because we know right now, consumer spending is what is driving the American economy. That's it. It's the only thing driving the American economy. So when people stop spending money, this economy is going to falter. So the more money we get into people's hands right now, the $2,000, hell, if we get more, that'd be great. But if we could just get money into people's hands, they're going out and they're spending it. And guess what they're spending it on? They're spending it on rent, and they're spending it on food, and they're spending it on things, and that money's trickling down to the landlords who collect the rent and the store owners that sell their goods. So getting money into people's hands immediately is important, and both of these Democratic candidates in Georgia have said they are more than willing to up the ante and get people money in their hands, and the other side is saying they're not. So I don't know about you personally, but I think that would be a huge motivator of, can I pay my bills? Can I feed my family? Can I, put $2 to the side for a rainy day, even though the bills have built up. So this is a big election for a lot of people in America, and I think this is going to be one of the most watched things in history probably. And people are just, I'm sure they're tuning in and out, just like I'm sure all of you people watching are checking the results, and let's see what we got real quick. Let's just get a quick update and see what happens here. Looks like we're at 76% reporting, and Purdue seems to be up about a little less than a point, and Warnock seems to be up just maybe about a third of a point. So close, just super close races that are going to have huge impacts on this country and everyone living in it. So.
Well, and that's where we're at. A couple minutes left for this show here. We're recording Tuesday night, the big runoff. We're talking about Georgia is all at stake right now. 2 Senate positions for the United States Senate at stake. And
at stake.
Who is going to come out here? Right now it looks like it's kind of split off. That would be a win, in my estimation, for the Republicans. Because right now, if they can just get one out of those 2, they will maintain a Senate lead, 51-49, and could hold the power for the Senate. That would then force, that a lot of the issues still, the Democrats do have the House. So you've got one House going for the Democrats, one House going for the Republicans, and then a president, which will kind of be the linchpin there. Will that be Biden? Will that be Trump? A lot of people say it's a done deal. Biden has already won this. There's a lot of people saying, are you kidding me? Do you look at the implications here? The 2, 3, 10 million people that are going up to Washington, D.C. right now for tomorrow's big electoral day.
I was going to say, man, we'll talk about all that tomorrow. That's a whole nother, that's a tomorrow
Tune in tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow night, because that will be the show to watch, because we're going to be talking about exactly that and where we're at with all this, because it's going to be impactful today and then really impactful tomorrow. And tomorrow's show is going to be exciting because, wow, is there going to be this controversy? There's got 12 United States senators. You've got 100 United States representatives saying that they're going to contest the electoral votes. Today, though, has a big impact on that. If you're looking at, if it ends up being something where if Georgia goes both Democrat, then you've got potentially all three executive branches going in favor of the Democrats, and they could run away with what they want to do.
Yeah, like healthcare. Healthcare would be
Healthcare
great.
for everyone, is that right?
Well, just healthcare.
Just
Even
healthcare.
better healthcare. Why can't we have the same healthcare as our elected officials?
There's a good question, good point. So, is healthcare still an issue? Is that a big hot topic for a lot of people? Has it been done and over with Obamacare?
No,
did Trump pull that apart?
Issue. It is the number one issue on people's minds right now. And I'll tell you, in Missouri, when I was campaigning, it was, sorry to cut you off, but
No, you're good.
healthcare. Everybody wants to talk about healthcare and how it can get better and how everybody can be more protected and we can get better medicine. That's literally what people are interested in. Longevity of life.
All right, ladies, we go to cowboypartner.com. You see our little ticker there at the bottom of our live stream. We recently added that. Become an official Cardinal, Cowboy, or Cowboy UMA partner if you'd like to support our show, and we will throw support towards the businesses that we select. You fill out the form. You go out there to cowboypartner.com, fill out the little form, and then suggest whoever it is you think should be a partner on our show that we will give some of our support, all of our support to. We're going to divvy this up around businesses in the St. Louis area. We get an total audience of about 1.4 million people that we've tapped so far. And when you really get into it, it's just neat to be able to promote and help small businesses. Greg, how important do you think it is that small businesses are at the core of what we do here in this little country still?
Yeah, I know that's a show we're going to have here, I think on Thursday maybe, or maybe it might be our Friday show. I don't know, but small businesses are, we are the biggest employers of America. It is important to have small businesses in every city, state, locale, county. The economic base that's generated by businesses such as ours is what keeps the government running. We keep people employed, which means people have money to feed their families. I think it's the pillar of our entire society. The big corporations just keep, all that money goes to one entity, whereas the small businesses, that money keeps getting spread out, and those people keep spreading that money out, just like the stimulus checks. When you get money, you tend to spend it on the things you need, which helps those, and all that money just spiders out. So, yes, small businesses, shop local, and I want to give a huge shout out to the Missouri Department of Conservation. You do a great job with your open areas, your parks, the ability for us to be able to go and fish and hunt and bird watch and trail walk and do the things that we do on a regular basis here in Missouri. I applaud you, Missouri Department of Conservation. Thank you again, and I will keep enjoying Missouri wildlife and nature as long as you keep providing me these awesome opportunities to go and experience it.
Well said there, Mr. Upchurch. And UMA is what he goes by, everybody, for those that are the ugliest man alive, he likes to say.
In America, people.
I'm sorry, is the ugliest man in America? My fault. Ugliest, not alive, just America.
Just America. I don't cover the whole world, just America.
And that I kind of fell for. I'm like, Greg, I can't use ugliest. We got to do the ultimate man in America. So
No,
he's like, no, man,
it
was the oxymoron, the play on words.
25 years old, whatever it is.
He's been doing this for a long
Almost
time.
30.
Been known as such for most of his adult life. I guess that started back in college.
Most of my adult life, early in college even. It wasn't even late in college. It was,
Okay.
It was pretty early in college.
Well, let's give everybody one more shout out as to what the election results are talking about. We're reporting on the Georgia runoff for the 2 Senate seats, and I've got the ticker live on the screen behind me now. It says 80%.
Oh,
reporting.
sweet. There you go, because this
So
one's only up to 76. Good, 78.
I'll hit that. So now it's saying leaning towards.
Ooh. Looks like both Republican candidates are winning.
Is it? Okay, I'm
That's what it
leaning
looks like
towards
on this one.
Warlock. And what happened to our win probability? Well, it's scrolling.
This is just this one.
Okay, this is just one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Warlock. And it's leaning towards Warlock, they're saying here. Now, I guess it depends on who you listen to.
Well, and how much of the vote's in?
Right, and 80%.
Because this
So
one's
let's
at
go.
78 or 79, and it's saying Loeffler's winning.
And
But not by very much.
What
Like
site is that?
We're talking like 25,000 votes.
Okay, yeah, here we are. You can see.
This is just the Associated Press.
And we'll go ahead and pull this up. This is Google's live feed here, and now you're saying David Perdue is leading.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, and that's at 50.8%. Ossoff not far behind, 49.2.
But Ossoff was leading the entire time until.
And so if you look here on the next big election, obviously this is the 2 runoffs for Senate. Loeffler winning 40. Right, you're talking about a difference of about 25,000 votes between Warnock and Loeffler. So these are your 2 Senate seats for the United States Senate out of Georgia. Every state, whether you're the largest state in the country or the smallest state in the country, you get 2 Senate seats.
Yeah, man, that's almost 3.3 million votes, and they're only separated by 25,000.
And that's where we're at with all this right now. When you really get down to it, man, how exciting is that for those that are saying, oh, the Republicans are going to take over. Oh, the Democrats are going to take over.
Exactly. Everybody pontificating one way or
No
the other.
one's going to take over until this is all said and done. I'll lean out of the way there a little bit.
And folks, even though this goes this way, I mean, come on, we know there's still mail-in ballots to check. There's also, there's all the other ones that haven't been tabulated yet. So this isn't over for a while, and it's going to take a minute.
And they are keeping a very close eye on this election because Georgia was such a contested election during the presidential election.
Yeah.
And so, oh boy, it was for sure going to go Republican. It hadn't gone Democrat in years, and then last minute, a lot of votes came in. I won't say from where or what happened there, but it gave the state at this point is gone to Biden. Being contested, there's a bunch of argument about that. But Trump is saying, get down there in Georgia and vote. Biden had been down there recently also.
They've both been down there.
And I know Pence was there yesterday. And so they're down there arguing, please get out the vote. Today is the day.
Today's the day.
And you've got to get these all in. The polls are officially closed, I guess, now. So now it's just a matter of tabulating the totals. And then how long do they have to? There is no 3-day extension like they did in Pennsylvania. They changed last minute. It is the absentee ballots have to be in by today. Is that correct?
They have their rules, yes.
They've stuck by the rules that
They're
they have.
sticking by the rules.
Not that they didn't stick by the rules
Yeah,
anywhere else, per se. Did I just get you to say that, Greg?
No,
That's
they're
great.
sticking by the rules. Rules are good. They should be followed. They're there for a reason.
But if you take a look here again, we'll scroll up. You see behind me, I'll put on camera 4. Let's see if that shows it well enough. You can see camera 1. There it is. Yeah, so that is over here. Loeffler, Warnock, 50.
Yep.
40. It just went up a little bit higher in favor of Loeffler. Scroll up here a little bit. I'm actually I can zoom this in a little bit. We'll go here. And so, can you see that better? Now you have your totals there. Wow, 50.9, and that is making a difference there. That's David Perdue. Almost up 2 points, 1.8 points up on his opponent there, Ossoff. And, boy, it's going to be another nail-biter here, it looks like. But it is leaning. Beginning of the show, this is kind of like the reverse of the election night, wasn't it? The election night, Trump was winning. It's all in Trump's favor. And then overnight it switched. We can talk about how that happened. But here,
It's just as reporting numbers come in. As it gets reported, and it's going to be back and forth. There's no doubt about it. There's some more. It says there's anticipating votes from a little bit of northern Georgia still haven't come in, and there's a big pocket from Atlanta that hasn't come in still. So this should be a back and forth battle the whole time. It's going to be quite interesting. I know I've been watching it for a while. Between hunting and electioning, this has pretty much taken up my day.
well, we appreciate everybody staying tuned with us tonight. We'll wrap up this show for the Cardinal Cowboy Show. Again, Carter Rethwish, a.k.a. the Cardinal Cowboy, my partner in crime here, the one and only world-famous UMA, and better known as Greg Upchurch, political and business expert here on the Cardinal Cowboy Show. The Cowboy UMA show we're doing tonight, and we look forward to doing a bunch of these shows. Greg really brings in the perspective from the Democrat side, and just kind of that's where his blood lives and breathes the same. Likewise, I'm the conservative on the Republican side. And we what we'd like to demonstrate to people is that we overlap. We see a lot more in common with very less differences between us, right, Greg? And there's a lot of people, they seem to go way off to one side or way off to the other. Right. And the truth is we all have a lot more.
Now, there's things we don't agree on. Let's not, mix words here. We disagree on a lot of things. But,
right.
But the point is we can disagree, but we can still have a civil conversation, be friends, enjoy each other's company without that becoming a major issue in life. And you know what? 2 years from now, 4 years from now, well, I guess after the 20th when Biden's certified, 2 years or 4 years after that, we'll get to do this all over again. And that's what being friends is all about. So don't lose your friends over politics.
Right. And we will talk about it to no end and just share our perspective with everybody. Hopefully everybody can dig in on this, enjoy our show a little bit. Become a sponsor, become a partner of the show. Go to cowboypartner.com. You can see our scrolling marquee at the bottom there. www.cowboypartner.com. Sign up, submit your application, if you will. Just want some basic information about who you recommend, or if you're or yourself, feel free to do that. And we could potentially make you a partner on the Cowboy Uma show here, the Cardinal Cowboy, in the Cardinal Cowboy studio, and put your name up on the wall and the excitement we have here to help spread.
Oh, and there are other perks that come with that, but that would be more of a personal conversation. So
yes, lots of activity to do in the community.
Easy ways to get a hold of us.
You do it. And we look forward to doing more of that and sharing some more of the excitement with you guys. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Anything else to add to this, Greg?
Hashtag Missouri is for everyone.
Hashtag Missouri is for everyone, and hashtag Cardinal Cowboy as we finish up the Cardinal Cowboy show here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you again soon. Stay tuned for more excitement. Tomorrow night's big show, the Electoral. We're not calling it E-Day, D-Day. We're calling it E-Day. Tomorrow is E-Day, the Electoral College Day, when we will have a lot to say about where these electoral votes are going to go. All right, everybody. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon. Cardinal Cowboy and Uma signing out. Giddy up.
This is the Cardinal Cowboy Show.
Giddy up!